Proverbs 6:6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. So just reading those few verses there. So essentially, I guess the main focus uh, is a warning against being a sluggard or a lazy person. Uh, so he gives instructions: go to the ant, thou sluggard. So and consider her ways and be wise. So it says can go to the ant, like go and he Solomon, I guess. He says go to the ant. Look at nature. Even in nature, God has set order in something as small and as insignificant as the ant. We can learn lessons from even the ants. He says, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. So he's saying, like, even though ants don't have like ranks or you know, yeah, positions in the ant army or whatever. I mean, you just see ants. You look down, you see ants, and you don't necessarily know what they're doing, but they're all working together. They don't have any. They're not able to speak to each other and give directions or give orders in a sense. They do have their ways of communicating, but I mean, they can't talk to each other. They don't have necessarily leaders, but they still do what they need to do to provide for their colony or their kingdom in a sense. It says they gather, they provide their meat in the summer and gather their food in the harvest. I mean, they do what they need to do. So how much more should we, those who are made in God's image, intelligent beings made in the image of God, how much more should we work in a sense and be productive? Why should we be sluggards? We were built to work. We weren't built to work ourselves to death. We were built to work for the glory of God. So, but we shouldn't be sluggards in what we do. We should consider the ant. If we're sluggards, consider the ant. They work. They don't have any leaders or anything. They don't. They're just down there doing their thing. They provide what they need to provide. Verse 9, how long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. So this section at verse 9, asking these questions: how long will you sleep? When will you get up? Basically, essentially pleading you to get up out of your sleep. How long will you sleep? And then providing a warning in the very next few verses. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, all it takes is a little bit, or a little folding of the hands, and your poverty will come upon you as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. So like, what does he mean by that? Thy poverty shall come as one that traveleth. Well, I assume, I guess more specifically, this context is somebody that comes upon you just unexpectedly, and thy want as an armed man. Essentially, your lack or your want or not having something and not being able to provide, that's going to come upon you as an armed man. Somebody that wants to take advantage of you and basically take what you have. It's going to come upon you suddenly. You don't know when an armed man, you don't know when you're going to be robbed or attempted. Somebody's going to attempt to rob you or come upon you, armed. So I guess it's that unexpected nature of the armed man or the one that traveleth that's just going to come upon you. Like if you just sleep just a little bit, you fold your hands a little bit to sleep. You just, I'll do that later. Your want is gonna come upon you like an armed man. You should strive to work and be productive. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, and consider her ways and be wise. He says, be wise. Considering something as little as minute as the ant. But it's as simple as just being productive. Go and work and let your work glorify God.